Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. November has started, and it was getting cold, so he thought it was time to get new clothes for winter. He liked shopping online because he could do it from his job and didn't like going to the mall. He appreciated that he worked alone because it let him change his plan whenever he needed to. Before he went shopping, he went back to check my old email. He had just signed up for a magazine and was now getting emails about Vanity Fair magazine subscriptions. He remembered one email in particular. It praised a new development in engaging ads. This made him want to check out the fancy ads that Vanity Fair's sponsors put online. It was possible to scroll over all the magazine's ads. As you moved your mouse over an item, the ad would show you the name and price of that item. Of course, most of the things there were clothes, shoes, and other things for women. He was interested in the idea and decided to find out more about it. It would be much easier for him to shop if other ads and magazines did the same thing. He looked through the ads for about 30 minutes and found a lot of great things that you could buy online. He knew that most of the ads were for things for women, but that was part of what interested him. The things women wore and what they wore with them were his favorite things. Sometimes he even liked to dress like a woman. It wasn't often that he could dress up, and he thought he was finally over his habit. But then he had an idea. Instead of buying clothes for guys, why not buy clothes for women for the fall and winter? For the first time in years, the thought of getting a whole new wardrobe for women made him happy. If he sent everything to his office and only shopped online, no one would know. It wouldn't be easy to do the job in secret. People might think something was wrong if he was the only person in the office when everything was sent there. The problem might be solved by creating a female form of himself. If delivery people and people who inquired about his packages thought he had hired a new receptionist, they would be none the wiser. This made-up receptionist's name was Heather, because that was his favorite name to use when he dressed up. Heather needed a name to use online. One must-have for shopping was a business credit card and an email address. He quickly created an online persona for Heather. He knew how hard it was to conceal his cross-dressing. He felt a little better when he got home that night, knowing he had to wait for the credit card before he could go shopping. He had a few days to change his mind and not go through with his silly plans for his outfit. He had gotten carried away at other times and bought a lot of underwear, shoes, and clothes that didn't fit right or didn't go well with each other. If things continued the way they were, his mind would change in a day or two, and he could just call the afternoon a few hours of daydreaming. Over the next few days, he didn't forget about Heather. Instead, he kept wishing he had thought of this great plan earlier so he could have dressed up for Halloween. He thought all day about what he could have become if he had begun a few weeks earlier. He used to dream of being a dancer, but now all he could think about was being a maid or a beautiful bride. He did think that he would have bought everything he needed to be a beautiful bride if he had more time. He had never been to a wedding, but could just picture what it would be like to wear a beautiful dress with lots of tiny buttons up the back, and layers of silk, satin, and tulle running down the length of the dress. He was so excited about all the cool costumes he could make that he went online to see what was out there and put together some fun outfits. He went to find a maid outfit. Heather found the right uniform. It was a black satin dress with short sleeves and a petticoat. She kept looking for the rest of the outfit until she found some black seamed nylons and ruffle hipster pants. She chose a wig, 4-inch shoes, and a black corset on the Fredericks of Hollywood website. It was the most fun she had had in a while to shop for the outfit. She wasn't planning to buy anything because her new credit card hadn't come yet, but it was fun to just shop, even though it took all day. A wedding dress would have to wait until another time because it took so long. That week, Heather's new credit card came in the mail. She did what she had planned and threw the card away. Even though she liked the clothes she looked at the other day, she wasn't going to buy them because Heather wouldn't wear them to work. No, Heather would demand that you wear clothes that are acceptable for work. She searched for better clothes after taking the credit card out of the trash. Surprisingly, the desire to make a new outfit for women didn't go away. She was shocked at first that she had indeed made a new credit card for an employee. She was sure this was the best idea she'd had in years, though, the more she thought about it. She had to make sure the new receptionist had everything she needed before she started working for him. She began by getting the basics from an office supply shop: a desk, a chair, and everything you need for your work. She knew a new worker would need a computer, a phone, and maybe even a new cell phone when she really thought about it. She also got some mirrors to put around the office so she could look at her new receptionist and like her. The office is pretty quiet, so a greeter would be nice. Through her daydreams, she thought about what he would wear as the new front desk clerk. Over the next week, the new desk and other things started to show up. The people who brought the new things were interested and asked him if he had anyone new starting soon. He was happy to tell them that Heather, her new receptionist, would be starting in a few weeks. By early December, all of Heather's new clothes for the holidays were in stores, so it was a good time to shop. The look put together when she dressed up, she knew she couldn't just buy a few things for fun. She had to get everything she needed. She was shocked at how good she looked after getting a change a few years ago. Based on her last makeover, she made a list of everything she would need to be believable. She began on her feet and worked her way up. First, she had to clean up and trim her toenails. Then she got some bright red nail paint and put it on. It would be simple because no one would see her toes. She then thought about how hairy her legs were. She liked the way her legs felt when they were shaved, but she knew she could get away with them the way they were. To start, she would need to order some nylons. After that, she could put on another pair of dark hose or highs. She learned how to do this trick during a makeover and was glad to use what she had learned. The way her legs were shaped made it look like she really was that tall. The shoes came next. There was no way Heather was going to wear stilettos to work. She would have to get her some stylish work shoes. If you wanted to look cool, she knew that her shoe size was 10.5 for women, which wasn't too big. Like the 4-inch Brian Atwood pumps she saw online not long ago. She looked at the middle part of the body. In the past, she wore some beautiful corsets that made her waist narrow to at least 26 to 28 inches. It was too tight for everyday wear. She believed Heather would never put up with that. For an hourglass shape and extra control where it's needed, a waist nipper with a linked control panty would be the way to go. Also, a garter belt would be bought because you never know when a certain pair of thigh highs will look good. She also chose to use a push-up bra. She almost forgot to take care of Heather's nails. Is now a good time to try wearing fake nails? She knew that her fingers would look great with longer fake nails and paint, but she had read that this was hard to do and could hurt your nails. She wasn't sure if Heather would like long fake nails. She was sure Heather would want real nails that weren't too long so she could type and do other work without them getting in the way. Instead of cutting her nails short as planned, she thought it might be better to let them grow a little longer and file them. She wouldn't need anything else if she was going to do that. She knew that gold, not nails, made the woman. For Heather, she would need bracelets, chains, clip-on earrings, and maybe even a few rings. It felt good to know that none of it had to be real, just well-made. Every woman looked great when they wore the right jewelry. Making up didn't hurt if the woman wore bling. It was important that the base matched her skin tone and would cover her facial hair when she shaved. He was lucky that his beard wasn't too thick. To bring out his cheekbones, he needed a nice blush. For the eyes, she needed eyeliner, mascara, lip liner, lipstick, lip gloss, and something to take off all the makeup. A real wig was one of the last things. She looked at old shots of herself getting a makeover and chose a sandy blonde wig that was about shoulder length. After being very careful when making her shopping list, she thought she should be just as careful when making his real purchases. It went against his gut to shop at a lot of different places and pick up random things here and there. She should shop at department stores instead, where she could get most of what she needed all at once. This would make her shopping easier and cut down on the total number of packages sent. She was sure that the sites would have enough to make Heather very happy, even if not all of them had every single thing. Some things might come from strange specialty sites, but Heather would only have to deal with a few deliveries. The office was ready for the new front desk worker. Heather's computer was set up and customized to look like a girl's room. Since everything she bought was for Heather, she chose to do all of her shopping on her new computer. She felt more and more like Heather, the new receptionist, as she made this new person, complete with a custom homepage and email. She couldn't wait to see what she looked like. Heather started to tell them what to do. Heather was shocked that most of the orders took almost a day to place. She was sure that next time would be much faster. Tuesday came around quickly, and Thanksgiving was almost here. It was only 2 days away. She was glad that work slowed down over the holidays because it was taking longer than she thought to find the right size and style. Heather got most of her shopping done the next day, so her plan to only buy from a few sites worked because she would only be getting 4 packages. After the orders were sent, there was nothing left to do but wait. People say that waiting is the hardest part all the time. The next day, Heather was still excited about her orders, but she was really bored while she waited for them to come. For fun, she browsed the web and quickly found herself drawn to the Victoria's Secret site. It made her happy to look at all the fun clothing. She took her time and made a shopping cart to hold all the cool things she found, just like the other sites. She put on shoes, pants, nylons, garter belts, and anything else she thought looked good. She clearly didn't want to do that kind of shopping because it was too spontaneous. Heather didn't go to a different spot right away. Instead, she put everything in the basket and quickly looked for the maid uniform she had found earlier. Heather let her emotions take over, and she ordered everything to be delivered as soon as possible. The total bill would be at least a few $1,000s if you count the last-minute treat. She asked herself, "What have I done?" Added a few more orders. People would know where that came from and have a general idea of what was inside. She told herself, "Oh well, there's nothing to do now but wait." That was it for the day. She turned off the computer and went home. The next morning, Heather went to work at 8 a.m. She was going to be a few minutes early so she could have some time to herself before the office she ran opened at 8:30. She didn't have to stick to a strict schedule because people rarely stopped by, but she wanted it that way. She felt more sure of herself and more assertive in her new job. She was so mad that the day before she had lost it. She bought a lot of things on a whim and had them shipped overnight. They were things she didn't need for her new look, and she was mad that she had shipped them overnight. It was already clear that Heather wouldn't go to work in an uncomfortable corset, let alone a maid uniform. She tried to forget the embarrassing things that happened the day before because she felt like she had a shopping hangover. Heather was going to do what she had planned today and not let things get out of hand again. The first packages started to come in just after 10 o'clock. The plan for today was to carefully unpack, sort, and store all of her new clothes. At first, it looked like a simple job. Just open each shipment and throw away the boxes. A lot of packages had been sent to her by noon. That would be fun to open, so she put them down for now and began with another package from her shopping trip. The black maid uniform was in the box from Versatile Fashions that she opened. She let out a small gasp when she touched the fabric of her uniform because it felt so lovely. The uniform was on the floor next to her, and the white petticoat was opened. She turned red at the thought of how the fluffy white petticoat would make her look like such a woman. She bought black opera-length satin gloves to go with the outfit. They would cover her arms just past the elbows. She had worn the gloves before and loved how well they worked. Oh, when she opened the box that held the short blonde wig. It wasn't impossible for Heather to change her hair at some point, so the wig could come in handy. Heather felt good about finding a reason to buy the wig at first. But that didn't last long. What came next? A black corset with two-way in the back. Firm boning. Putting each piece of the outfit into a box with care, she closed the lid. She was going to make sure that every box was marked so that she knew what was inside each one. What was she going to write about this? The box was on the shelf in the small storage room in the office. Anyone who went there would see it. She wrote, "Emergency office supplies" on the side that faced the room. The description made her smile, and she hoped she wouldn't have to deal with any emergencies anytime soon. After taking out the first package, she began to take its contents out. Every item was wrapped by hand. She thought this would take a few minutes. She took the black pants out of the package and put them in the box with the other emergency supplies. The rest of the order was laid out on the floor so Heather could pick up each item and put it where it belonged. She laughed as she opened each package at how crazy things had gotten the day before. The pants she bought were all size medium. There were red, blue, pink, and green in the sky. There were 10 pairs of pants in different styles and colors. She put these in the box in the supply room because they were for the maid uniform. Someone knocked on the door just as she closed the box. Someone rang the doorbell and opened it a little. She stood still in the supply room and looked out at the piles of clothes on the floor. Her heart started beating quickly. She hoped that the delivery person wouldn't be able to see inside because the door was only partially open. She ran to the door and signed for the package. She shut the door quickly. She looked around the office. Being stuck with the clothes wasn't her idea of a great day, so she checked all of her emails and tracks to see if anything else was coming that day. She was sure there wouldn't be any more interruptions that day after carefully checking each email receipt. The last shipment arrived, a small package from Saks. Heather really wanted to buy everything she saw at Saks and Neiman Marcus, but she wasn't able to. This package was small and only had one item. She didn't buy it on a whim. It just showed up quickly. Heather chose this item with a lot of thought because she plans to wear it to work most days. Brian Atwood black leather pumps with a 4-inch heel. Every day, the 4-inch heel was going to be hard, but she planned to get more comfortable shoes later. The shoes were powerful just because they were so expensive. They cost over $450. Also, they were unique because shoes were not something you could just buy at the mall and say they were for your girlfriend. It was hard for her because she couldn't try them on in public and pick shoes that would look good and fit well. When Heather opened the package that had just arrived, her day took a turn she wasn't expecting. She just couldn't help herself and tried on one of the pumps to see if it fit. She took a quick look at the time and saw that it was almost 1. She had plenty of time to put on some clothes and then try on the shoes. Her work clothes wouldn't come for another day or two, so she could return the shoes and order new ones if they didn't fit right. But they did. They fit wonderful. She got the new corset from the emergency office supplies because everything made sense. Of course, the lacing had to be fixed first in order to get the best shaping. She was proud of her work. She looked at her new body in the mirror and decided that she needed to wear the new ruffle pants to make the corset look good. She thought the black ruffle pants would fit her well. They fit just right, which was how she liked it, and they would help keep everything in order while she finished putting the outfit together. After painting her toes, she put on her heels over them. She thought they looked great on her, so she walked around the office a few times to see how they felt. It wasn't easy to move around at the new height, especially with the corset around the waist. After a few minutes, she felt like she could walk better and was thrilled that the shoes fit so well. It would have cost too much to mess with these Brian Atwood pumps if they didn't fit. She loved the shoes so much that she sat down again and dangled them back and forth for 15 to 20 minutes. She thought to herself, "Mission accomplished," as she looked at her feet in the shiny pumps. She was happy because her little escape was fun and the expensive shoes fit perfectly. It was time to get back to work. After she was done unpacking, she only needed to clean up and organize the things she had taken out of the boxes. Cleaning up was an important part of the process, but she groaned because it was much less fun than opening new things. It was a sad requirement to go shopping, cut off tags, throw away packaging, etc. When she saw how much mess she had to clean up before the evening cleaning crew came, she decided it would be more fun if the maid did it. Heather walked into the storage room and opened the emergency office supplies box again. She started by putting on the fluffy white petticoat and tying it around her waist. She looked in the mirror and thought the petticoat made her look like a ballerina. She thought to herself, "That's not a bad look to have." Then she took out the black maid outfit. She put on the uniform over her head and let the waist fall over the petticoat. She put her arms through each sleeve with lace trim and pulled them up. Almost finished with her new look, she put on the smooth, opera-length black gloves and made a few small changes to the short blonde wig on her head. She went to the mirror to see how she looked. Heather wasn't shocked so much that she couldn't believe it. Yes, she did have one of those "I can't believe it's really me" moments when the professional did her first makeover. Years ago, she was shocked by how she looked, but now she enjoyed working on making her look even better. She spun around in front of the mirror a few times to see how her petticoat looked. Then she stopped to look at how her new heels changed the shape of her legs. This could be why she hadn't dressed up in a while. She knew how good she looked and might have been scared of what would happen since she looked so real. She felt like maid Heather should get to work since she had enough time to think about the past. Heather cleaned up the office by putting all the trash that had piled up during the day in a pile that would be taken to the dumpster. What a day today was. I wonder how I will look next when more clothing arrive. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.